Howdy gamers, I'm the 112, this is the channel where I'm always right, and this is every game that was announced during the week of Summer Games Fest, plus my objectively correct opinions on them. Minus the Nintendo Direct because I don't really rock with Nintendo like that, but y'all got an Ocarina of Time remake and Kingdom Hearts 4 confirmed, so you're doing fine. I am now going to list the announcements in 3 categories: games you will be able to play this year, games you will be able to play next year, and games that will probably be playable at some point. Starting with the big one, GTA players, you'll be able to take your yearly hiatus from COD or 2K on November 19th for the eye-watering price of $80 at minimum. Thanks for putting this video on while you queue for a match. Now leave it running while you go 0-20 so I can pad my watch time. Like and subscribe real quick too, thanks. The rest of these are in chronological order. You're welcome. Sand Raiders of Sophie launched on June 10th. It kinda looks like Sea of Thieves with no sea and I hate sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating and it gets everywhere, so I'll be skipping this personally. Speaking of Sea of Thieves, they've added custom game modes to the game on June 18th. I'm always down with devs giving their players more creativity, so this sounds pretty cool. The Hitman franchise and rapper Wiz Khalifa have decided to collab and gave everybody a free trial of the mission until July 5th. If you're wondering why this is in the June section, that's because it released on June 5th. I'm just ever so slightly too brain-rotted for the Hitman games, but I'll always admire their dedication to player experiences, so I might check this out. July kicks off with Attack on Titan releasing July 1st, with some pretty cool visuals and gameplay good enough to make at least 3 of these things. I gotta ask though, are they actually ending the story here, or are they gonna keep milking the ending for all it's worth like the anime did? July 4th, we'll see Microsoft giving dudes with flight sim rigs yet another excuse to put off their pilot's license with the National Parks update, which adds exactly what it sounds like to the game. Looks beautiful, but I think Microsoft's CEO would have been turned into an example if they fucked this up. Bethesda had the audacity to announce 3 things that aren't Elder Scrolls 6. 2 of them release in July, and the Fallout 76 update is already out. July 7th is giving us an expansion to Doom the Dark Ages, which looks like more Doom the Dark Ages. Was there enough demand to make this? I don't know, but they did it anyway, and it looks fine. The day after, Elder Scrolls Online is adding the Thieves Guild update on July 8th. I'm honest enough to admit that I'm only interested in the single-player Elder Scrolls games, so I won't be checking this out. Ubisoft dared to ask the question, what if our most popular game ever had the dog-shit RPG systems of the new games? Comes out July 9th and it's probably going to be just as good as you remember Black Flag being, while feeling a lot more annoying to play. July 10th has Palworld slated for a 1.0 release. It continues to look like Pokemon, made for people that want to have fun playing Pokemon, and I think that's neat. Hope it's good. Halo is telling its first story for the 4th time, but now we get 3 extra missions. It releases July 28th and will probably play in a way that appeals to newer shooter fans while feeling just off enough for veterans of the franchise to warrant sending death threats to the devs. Never change, gamers, you totally aren't a loser if you send that type of shit over pixels on a screen. And last but most certainly least, Where Winds Meet is getting an update called Hidden Mountains sometime in July. It looks like more Where Winds Meet, so if that's your thing, then hell yeah, dude. Marvel Tokon drops on August 6th with an insane roster of Marvel characters and a cast to match. They got Freddy Fivebear himself to voice Carnage, and that's probably enough to pull in a decent player base. Much to the chagrin of like 25% of my ancestors, I suck at fighting games, but this one just looks too cool to pass up. August 11th delivers a new update for Grounded 2 titled Into the Abyss. It's probably gonna be cool if you rock with Grounded, but I don't really play a lot of open world survival games, so you guys are gonna need to let me know how it is. I've got a Discord server in the description if you actually want to do that. On August 14th, Mafia fans will get to dive back into the old country with the Man of Honor expansion. I have never touched a Mafia game because it's not my preferred genre, so I hope it's good for the Mafia fans. And if you're a fan of the Plague Tale series, the new installment titled Resonance will be available on August 27th. This is a series I've been meaning to get into, so I hope they're cooking on it. Also on August 27th, Star Wars Zero Company is releasing. It looks like Star Wars flavored XCOM, and that's good enough for me to be curious about it. Plus, Anakin's gonna be there, which is a choice. Whether or not it's a good one, we'll have to see. In September, you'll be able to play The Blood of Dawnwalker on September 3rd. It's a new vampire story that looks kinda cool and has the marketing hook of a story that spans across multiple eras. I feel like vampire stories are a bit of a coin toss these days, so let's hope this one feels more Castlevania and less Twilight, since that's what they seem to be going for. If you're an indie gamer, you should keep an eye out for Screenbound on September 10th. You play as a kid who finds a device that transports them into the game that they're playing. Just off the trailer, I was getting the impression that they're attempting to emulate the feeling you had playing handheld games as a child. It's blending various eras and genres of video games, and I'm pretty interested in seeing what else they've got in this. There's also a demo out on Steam right now that you can play. Wolverine releases on September 15th. It looks exactly how I expected a Wolverine game by Insomniac to look, complete with blood amounts so cartoonish that I'm pretty sure the enemies are coded as walking liquid sims. Looks fun though. Also on September 15th, we've got RuneScape Dragon Wilds, which is an open-world survival game set in the RuneScape universe. Yes, it's multiplayer. Even though I don't play too many games in the genre, the art style and fantasy setting have me intrigued. It's currently playable in early access if you want to check it out. September 17th is giving us Trine 6 Together in Time. It's a co-op action platformer with some pretty cool looking interactability between the characters. I've never heard of Trine before, so I don't have any feelings about this being the 6th installment other than I think it looks pretty cool. Silent Hill has a first-person game titled Townfall, which comes out on September 24th. From the trailer, I get the impression that it'll play like Payne's Creek Killing, and if it does, I'm insta-copping this. If you haven't played Payne's Creek, you should. It's great. But I have never played a Silent Hill game, so it's not even the game I'm most hyped for that has a September 24th release date. That honor goes to Control Remedy, which takes place 7 years after the events of Control. Everything in the Bureau breached containment, and it's Dylan's job to clean it up. This is what I'm hyped for. I fucking loved the first game, and I'm incredibly curious to see more of Dylan's story. There is a third game releasing on September 24th, because everybody's scared of the big bad GTA release in November. This one is called Valor Mortis. I have no idea what the story is supposed to be about, but the trailer gave me vibes of a British BioShock with the Dishonored combat system. I'd be inclined to check out the Steam page if anything about the trailer had looked interesting enough for me to do so. As it stands, this is the fourth most interesting game releasing on September 24th. Because Hot Wheels Infinite Rush also releases on September 24th, and this shit looks pretty fun. It's another Hot Wheels racing game that looks like it might lean into a semi-open world type of gameplay. I don't know, I don't play racing games. Onimusha Way of the Sword, which is an Asian fantasy ARPG, finally breaks our September 24th frenzy by making the bold choice to release on September 25th instead. I imagine this plays like a Souls-like, and the vibes from the trailer kinda feel like the devs wanted to put JJK's Yuta Okatsu into a video game, and I'm so here for that. It's also got a demo if you want to form your own opinion on it. Rounding out the month, Minecraft Dungeons 2 releases on September 29th. Oh, and Ion 2 is an MMORPG that is supposed to release sometime during the month of September, and that is all I can tell you about it. 3 different games will be released on October 1st. The first is Rayman Legends Retold, which is probably a cool game if you're into Rayman. I've never played before, but this looks pretty fun. Any Rayman fans, sound off in the comments if you think this is a good spot to hop into the franchise. I rock with the art style. Next game we've got is Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered. It looks fucking absurd in the best way possible. Hope it runs well, because I'm sure the fans are gonna have a field day with this. And just to hop genres one more time, October 1st will also be seeing a horror game titled End of Abyss, which gives me the vibes of Signalis but with higher graphical fidelity. If it's not as easy to hardlock yourself in this as it is in Signalis, I'm definitely checking this out. The very next day, October 2nd, Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thieves releases. I've never played one of these games, so I always just thought it was a dogfighting simulator with little to no narrative merit. My apologies, I didn't realize this was Japanese Top Gun non-derogatorily. This looks cinematic as fuck. Not necessarily enough to get me into the franchise, but they've made 8 of these things, so it's gotta be decent, right? You finally get a release break until October 6th, where 2 more games will be available for purchase. The first one being Star Wars Galactic Racer, which I hope is good. If this game flops, you can find me at Star Wars HQ showing them what real pod racing looks like. Unfortunately, pod racing's Xbox sales are probably getting kneecapped by the release of Gears of War E-Day. Probably sick if you're a Gears fan, and I'll be real, I'm rocking with the way their cover system works, but I have never touched the franchise, and I don't think this one is the best place to start. It's also being released as an Xbox console exclusive, meaning if you've got the Xbox app on PC, you'll still be able to play this. Welcome back, Console Wars, it's like you never left. On October 15th, Castlevania Belmont's Curse releases. This one features a whole new Belmont sibling, Rose, who looks sick as fuck. I'm also loving the art style and general vibe from the trailer, so I'll be keeping an eye on this. The day after, October 16th, we've got another indie title by the name of Tenebris Somnia. It's a retro survival horror game with live-action cutscenes and is the coolest blending of mediums I've seen since Quantum Break. It follows a girl who's having nightmares about her ex being killed by monsters until she ends up trapped in the same nightmares. This looks like straight-up art, and I'm picking it up as soon as I can. Modern Warfare 4 releases on October 23rd, with an extraction shooter mode set in North Korea of all places. Sure dude, why not? Franchise has been creatively bankrupt since 2012, might as well. Phantom Blade Zero released a trailer for a trailer, and then that trailer gave us a release date of October 28th, 2026. You play as a guy with 66 days left to live as he attempts to unravel the conspiracy he's found himself in. It's got wuxia storytelling elements and will undoubtedly be one of many titles that Dude Bros prop up as a Game of the Year contender as if GTA isn't releasing in November. Just to not have October end on a bitter note, the people behind the Ori games are coming out with a multiplayer Souls-like with crossplay and cross-save. Looks beautiful and will probably be minorly rage-inducing, which means I'm totally dragging my wife into this. Sorry babe, but it'll be fun, trust. Unfortunately, I have no release date for this game other than sometime in October, probably. You all know what month comes after October. You might be thinking, 12, you already said that GTA was releasing in November. What do you mean there are other games dropping near that? What I mean is that on November 3rd, you can play Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee Remastered, which is a kaiju fighting game that is infinitely cooler than anything Rockstar will ever produce. But if watching giant monsters beat the shit out of each other isn't your jam, Barbie Rewind is dropping on November 12th, which is a collection of classic Barbie games that I have no doubt my wife is stoked about playing again. Now we move on to the more nebulous releases, which still includes 2026, because even though we're halfway into the year, there are still games releasing that don't have a date picked out yet. For starters, Chronicles Medieval, which is a large-scale medieval RTS with some RPG elements, maybe. I don't know, but it looks kinda cool from the shots in the trailer, and it's available to wishlist on Steam. We've also got Sea of Remnants, which looks like a gacha game made for an incredibly particular blend of people whose two favorite pieces of media are Black Flag and Has Been Hotel. There are multiple reasons why I won't be picking this up, but it will be free to play if you'd like to check it out. Until then, wishlisted on Steam. If you think I'm not picking up Sea of Remnants because I don't fuck with boats, I hate to break it to you, but I am so hyped for Dreadmore. It releases sometime in Q4 2026. Why they can't just say winter, I don't know. But it's a first-person fishing game set in a post-catastrophe world where you have to catch fish and maintain your ship while crafting gear to further your journey into said world. Wishlisted on Steam. 1666 Amsterdam is coming this year from some creative minds behind the original Assassin's Creed games. This initially had me hyped until I found out they've just been slapping Gen AI artwork into the game and uploaded it as a playable demo. I get that they're just placeholders, but at that point, why not just use generic stock photos if they're meant to be replaced anyway? Updating the images after you get called out just makes it seem like you were hoping you'd never get caught. Either way, demo's out. I hear it's bad, but you can check that out for yourself if you're curious. Lords of the Fallen 2 is also slated for a release this fall. I'm sure this is incredible news for somebody, but that person is not me. On the other hand, Mortal Shell 2 is slated for a release this year as well. They've got weaponized guitars and a beta that you can play right now. This is incredible news for people that are me. Age of Empires 4 has a Viking expansion called Raiders of the North releasing in fall 2026. This concludes the 2026 announcements. Let's move on to 2027, where the front of the year is probably going to be packed out. Real quick though, I want to shout out 33 Immortals for having the most batshit premise for a roguelike game I've seen in a minute. It's a co-op action roguelike with the gimmick of 33 player lobbies and no in-game voice chat. I have no idea how that works, but they're doing it and it's out for you to play right now. January 14th is giving us Stranger Than Heaven. It's a saga spanning 50 years about a showman in Japan who seems to be facing discrimination due to his birthplace. It's got a jazzy soundtrack, promises of violence, and Tupac for some reason. I get that it's because of Snoop Dogg's new label being involved, but hitting Tupac with a digital necromancy spell still confuses the fuck out of me. Seems like an interesting game, but a $70 price tag means this shit has to be life-changing for me to drop that kind of money on it. Hope it's good, but I'm personally waiting for reviews. February currently has 4 games slated to release that month, 2 of which actually have release dates. Fable releases on February 23rd and will be the first Fable game I've ever played. Everything I've heard about the series' reputation is giving me high hopes for this one, and I love me a good fantasy RPG, so I'll see you guys on launch. On February 28th, Persona 4 Revival is dropping. It's a remaster of Persona 4. I know I need to play these games, I just have no idea where to start if I'm being honest. I know they're anthological, but if there's 6 of these games, then surely there's some kind of lore going on here, right? Oh yeah, Persona 6 got announced. It'll exist, not sure when, but it will at some point. Now for the sometime in February releases, we've got Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis, which is a remake of the Tomb Raider game by the same name. It sure looks like a Tomb Raider remake, but I find it very weird they had to bring out their PR person when asked if the AI they're implementing for concept art has scripts attached to it or if it's purely environmental. This doesn't affect me at all because I am not a Tomb Raider fan, but if you are, maybe that's something to consider. And then we have Metro 2039, which dropped with a trailer that looks like more Metro. Seems cool, and it'll probably be pretty good if its reputation holds. The rest of these games will be released either in 2027 or at some point in the future. Pretty much all of them are available to wishlist on Steam, so if you're curious about anything I'm about to list, then odds are there's a Steam page for you to check out. Everything I tell you about these games are simply from the trailers that were presented at the showcase. Bancho the Chef is a Dave the Diver prequel that seems to play as a restaurant simulator with a banging soundtrack. Feels like something you'd rock with if you had a couple dozen hours logged in Papa's Pizzeria back on Cool Math Games. Kimuri is a 3-player class-based game with heavy Asian culture influence in which you hunt yokai to turn them into streetwear and gear to help you hunt even more yokai. Close enough, welcome back, Destiny 2. The Lost Wilds looks like a dinosaur survival horror game being published by Annapurna. Autistic gamers are so up right now. Stuntman Hollywood is a racing game where you play as a stunt driver for movie sets. I haven't been this curious about a racing game since playing the split-second demo in Target as a child. Ill is a horror game bringing some grotesque vibes and high-fidelity body horror to the table, and that is all I can tell you about it. Until Dawn 2 asks the brave question, what if Until Dawn had more than 3 colors? And decided the best answer to that was setting it on a tropical island. It follows ghost hunters that fake their content until they end up on this island where it suddenly becomes real. Ooh. Hope the writing carries because it just looks like more Until Dawn right now. God of War Laufey dropped 20 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay in which we got like 5 minutes of actual gameplay and 15 of cutscenes where we get to meet Faye, our new protagonist. The worst dudes you know have taken up the Herculean task of pretending Deborah Ann Woll isn't fine as hell, but that hasn't killed my hype for this game. Don't get me wrong, I was hoping for an Atreus solo game, but I'm just as excited to see what kind of story Santa Monica Studios can tell within the context of the Norse afterlife. Resident Evil Veronica is a Resident Evil game set in Paris, which might actually get me to play a solo Resident Evil game. I've only ever touched 6 with my wife to see what the co-op mode is all about, so I'm curious to see what this franchise actually has to offer. Mighty Cuphead Adventure is a Super Mario-esque side-scroller that, after Googling to confirm there was no release date, I found out is built to run on the fucking Sega Master System? That's actually so cool, dude. Obviously, it'll be playable on PC and consoles, but if you want the true experience, you can get a physical cartridge that will run on retro tech. Alien Isolation 2 is going to exist. Looks like they'll have you sneaking around in a more open environment compared to the claustrophobic nature of the first. I'm curious about it, but I don't know if I'm curious enough to fully play through the first one to be prepped for this. We got a new glimpse at Project Robot, or Gen Atlas, as we now know the title. It's made by the dude behind Shadow of the Colossus and Last Guardian with some insane visuals and an atmosphere that has me pretty intrigued. Blood Message is an eastward odyssey following a father and his child through war-torn ancient China to deliver a message. I suspect this is the type of game that every dude in their early 20s will base their entire personality on for the next 3 decades, and whether or not this is a game worth doing that for remains to be seen. Hex, or Hex, however you pronounce it, is an open-world action-adventure game from Dead Astronauts that comes with some insane graphical fidelity and a lot of cube-based visuals. It's possibly co-op and utilizes procedural generation. I'm intrigued by it, I think. Not much else I can say about it at the moment. Last Ronin is getting a video game adaptation, and that's probably one of the best stories to adapt for a single-player game. I'm a pretty recent Turtles comic fan, so I guess I've got an even better reason to pick up the run this game is based on now. Gundam Rogue Orbit has some insane visuals and will probably kick major ass if you're a Gundam fan. An extremely hard game sees you and up to 3 friends playing as geese attempting to traverse difficult terrain while balancing an egg. It looks fine, can't wait for the Smitty video. Crossfire is a third-person futuristic military game about 2 opposing operators forming an alliance as they experience whatever the story's gonna be here. They're touting a character-driven experience and something called adaptive cover, where your character's body will contour to the shape of whatever object you're hiding behind. This has the potential to revolutionize cover shooters, though I can't help but feel like this is just another COD Ghost fish tech situation. I hope I'm wrong. Guild Wars 3 got announced. I've only ever played a little bit of 2, but that shit ripped from what I remember. I'm down to give this a shot since Destiny's dead and I'll need a new MMO to hyperfixate on. Last Harbor is a game that combines fishing and zombies, I think. I really can't tell you anything about this one, sorry. Virtua Fighter Crossroads is a fighting game about a dude who fucked with the Chinese mafia and now needs to learn kung fu from some lady that shows up at the end of the trailer. Honestly, I rock with the style, so I'm kind of interested in this one. Soulframe has a pre-alpha that they announced. You can pay for access to it right now, or sign up on their website for a chance to get in early. It's fantasy Warframe from the guys that made Warframe, so it'll probably be cool. Saw Genesis got announced with the goddamn puppet appearing on stage. It looks like it's a 3v1 multiplayer horror game, so let's see how the Dead by Daylight community reacts to it. It's got a closed alpha you might be able to sign up for if you want to check that out. Among Us is getting a story mode. Sure, dude, why not? There's also an Among Us animated show with an insanely stacked voice acting cast that is out right now, if you want to watch it. Monster Hunter Wilds announced their Ascendance expansion, which is advertised as a massive expansion. Looks like they're fighting dragons over there. Damn, I gotta get into Monster Hunter, man. Sword of Legends is yet another Asian-inspired fantasy action-adventure game that will undoubtedly have some cool combat and a story of some sort. Wish I could tell you more about it. Sonic Racing Crossworlds announced more collabs, including Godzilla, Evangelion, and Pico Park? Fuck it, why not? Game's fun, and all of this also sounds fun. Clutch is a street racing game set in the Monaco, France area, and features both legal and illegal street racing. It's also got car grappling hooks, and that shit I haven't seen done since Disney Channel's Minutemen. Wolf Among Us 2 got announced. Glad to see that Dispatch proved there's enough demand for games where you click buttons to watch a movie to pull this long-awaited sequel out of development hell. If you're like me and never played the first one, don't worry, they're remastering it this holiday season so that we can play through it and understand what's going on in the sequel. Stellar Blade BloodRayne is the sequel to Stellar Blade and will exist at some point. Huge news if you're just trying to see women in skin-tight clothing doing sick-ass martial arts. Terrible news if you want them to look older than 14. Character design discourse aside, I won't be picking this game up because I have never seen a single thing from it that has made me want to experience whatever story it's trying to tell. Street Fighter VI announced their Year 4 update, which is bringing some new challengers to the game, including Tifa Lockhart. I hope she's disgustingly broken, because those Twitter clips are going to be hilarious if she is. Speaking of Tifa, Final Fantasy VII Revelation is the final game in the Final Fantasy VII trilogy. It feels like an insanely impressive feat to split one story into 3 games, but I know the original was already split between 3 discs when games clocking in over a gigabyte were considered massive. Now that the trilogy's complete, I might finally hop in to see what all the hype's about. Blood Dungeon is a platformer with movement tech that's going to hit the Survivor-like fanbase like crack in the 80s. It has a very silly-looking art style and was described by the developer as Vampire Survivors crossed with Spelunky. Mr. Records is a French game about a dude who can travel through music. It's a rhythmic platformer with a fun art style that also lets you run a record shop. The loop is that you play through the platforming sections to a soundtrack of over 45 original songs in order to unlock records to sell that you will then recommend to customers based on the conversations you have with them. This is so fucking creative, and I'm very hyped for this one in particular. Threads of Time is marketed as a love letter to the JRPG genre and is attempting to feature time travel as a core mechanic. You gather party members from various eras of history to restore the Fallen Order of Time Knights. I'm a sucker for time travel stories, go figure, despite them rarely being well done. I hope this one is done well because I'm loving the stylization of it. N plus Infinity X2 is a parkour platformer party game that only has 3 buttons and no skill ceiling. The devs are pretty confident with their marketing and how fun this game will be to play, and if you want to see what they're cooking, then feel free to sign up for their playtest. Into the Unwell is a rubber hose action roguelike that can be played with up to 3 people. It's got a very creative trailer and an appealing enough art style to get me to bully some friends into playing this with me. Bub is a game about an artist living in New York that is going to hurt your feelings. It's blending so many art styles and animation techniques that I'm in love with, and follows the titular character on his journey to create as much art as he can before the disease he's afflicted with prevents him from doing so. It's based on the personal experiences of the creator and his battle with multiple sclerosis, and I can't wait to have my heart broken by it. Lazy River is a 4-player co-op shooter taking place in a water park. On a space station. The premise is that some dude pissed in the pool and turned everyone into zombies, so now you and your friends have to build a raft to float through the station, fighting off zombies with various water-based weaponry. It kinda feels like the devs wanted to make a goofy-looking game with the Black Ops 2 transit system, which is a pretty cool premise on paper. Odds are some people are gonna label this as friend slop raft, even though it's pretty obvious this game's being made to provide a fun night in with the homies, instead of being everybody's new hyperfixation. Prove You're Human is something. You play as an employee tasked to work with an AI program that fully believes itself to be human. The trailer talks about using esoteric CAPTCHA as a gameplay mechanic, and for some reason, I believe they can pull that off. I don't know, the art direction in this alone is enough for me to be interested, and if you've seen my Lies of P video, then you know my thoughts on stories that deal with the theme of what it means to be human. Ithaca is a narrative road trip RPG that takes place entirely inside your car. You play as an environmental protection lawyer on your way to meet up with some friends, but oh no, there's a body in your trunk. It seems to grapple with morality and its themes, but it's being made by the French, so I was expecting that level of pretentiousness. I can't wait to play this game. I actually got into the playtest on Steam, so I'll probably make a video on it here soon. Shot One Fighters is a roguelike fighting game with some insane character designs. Like I said with Marvel Tokon, I am ass at fighting games, but at the end of the day, I'm still a white boy, so I'm turning out for anything with the roguelike tag on it. Who knows, maybe I'll pick up some transferable skills that I can use to get into the genre. Apple Crumble is a game that takes place on your grandmother's birthday, but somebody in the family wants to kill her and it is your job to figure it out. I get the feeling that this will play like Knives Out minus Daniel Craig doing his best Foghorn Leghorn impression. I'm also kind of fascinated with how the character's facial expression almost look like Mies, right? Or am I just on something? Slap Out of It is an interactive comedy sandbox where you solve various point-and-click puzzles with the sole mechanic of slapping things. It's got a goofy art style and silly vibes, and they paid Ben Starr money, which means he's here. Somewhere. Check under your seats, everybody gets Ben Starr today. Super Ukulele Kart looks like somebody asked, what if Mario Kart looked like Stardew Valley, and is being marketed as the definitive competitive karting adventure. I'll be real, it looks fun, but something about this just isn't clicking for me off the trailer. It does have some insane race customization though, which seems to be the only way you can ensure long-term replayability on a racing game that isn't Mario Kart. Into the Fire is a survival game set in a world on fire where you have to enter actively burning buildings to gather supplies with a naturally imposed time limit. I wish I could tell you something about the plot from the trailer, but it's kind of just vibes and visuals so far. Seems kind of interesting though. When Sirens Fall Silent is the third game that the Italians who made Martha is Dead have made. You play as a detective attempting to find a serial killer in 1990s Italy, and there are apparently supernatural elements at play too. It's being advertised as a psychological thriller with a strong focus on character interaction and development with a choice-driven narrative. I'm loving the atmosphere that this is bringing to the table, so I'll probably be checking it out. State of Decay 3 will exist. I haven't played any of the other two, so I don't have any thoughts about it. If it's your thing, let me know what you think about it. Bad Magpie is a cute-looking game about a bird with a broken wing who's making it everybody else's problem. Kinda feels like Untitled Goose Game, but with the potential to have a heartbreaking narrative. Unless Untitled Goose Game also has a heartbreaking narrative, I don't know, I've never played it. Wolong 2 Wings of Ember is an Asian fantasy action RPG that releases in 2027. The visuals look cool and it has a Souls-like tag on Steam, so I'm sure I'll see this in an Iron Pineapple video and make my decision to play it based on that. Join Us is a cult simulator game. That's the premise. You can do goofy cult shit, and Smitty will be giving us at least 3 videos on this game. Come back here if I'm wrong, but I won't be. Senua is getting the third and apparently final game in its series as Xbox is shutting down the studio that makes these. Pretty sad news because everything about this franchise is intriguing to me, but I've never actually taken the time to play through it. I should change that. Crazy Taxi World Tour is a new installment in the Crazy Taxi franchise that is using generative AI for some reason. It kinda sounds like they're using it in the same way the Tomb Raider remake is using it, which is for conceptualizing game assets. What is it with using Gen AI in remakes, though? It's not like they don't have anything to draw inspiration from. The game they're making already existed before this shit. It just comes across as the devs being too lazy to slap a generic asset in before deciding whether or not to commit with it. Magicians, The Devil's Deal seems to be about a stage magician that makes a deal with the devil and now has to use magic to fight through hell. I want to wait to learn more about this game before passing judgment because the trailer didn't do anything for me here. Vivarium is a Studio Ghibli-esque looking game where you live inside a vivarium and have a whole little life going on. I'm sure there's going to be more of a story to this, but there doesn't seem to be much info on it yet. Spyro's back with Spyro A Realm Beyond. Skylanders stocks are probably so fucking up right now, dude. I'm gonna need to play through the original trilogy before this releases and refresh my memory on what's going on here. And finally, Clockwork Revolution is a game about a thief who gets sent back in time on the night of a robbery gone wrong. It has a pretty cool steampunk aesthetic, which has me intrigued, and like I said before, I'm a sucker for time travel stories, go figure, despite them rarely being well done. So let's hope this one's not another cursed child and actually pulls off the mechanic. Fuck me, that's a lot of games. Like I said, all of these are available on Steam to wishlist, assuming they're not already out. I don't really care about this video being timely, I more so wanted to use it as a way to remind people of what's coming out, and that there are some really cool projects from the non-AAA spaces out there. Anything you're hyped for? Anything big that I missed in the video? Let me know in the comments. Like this video if you want more gaming news stuff like this, and subscribe if you're wanting to hear my thoughts on some of these games. By the time you're watching this, I am already playing Ithaca's playtest, so expect a video on that. Till then, follow me on my socials through the links in the description. See you around.